Dr. Shukla, so the stage is all yours. Thank you. Mr. Maheshwari, if you can hear us, could you switch on your camera, please?
Okay, okay. Very good. All right, all right. Thank you very much, Sharmaji and the organizers of REI 2021, giving us opportunity, Indian Biogas Association, to participate in this event. The efforts done by one and all from the REI side and from the IBA side, led by Gaurav Kedia ji and his full team. Nobody could think of having a physical event like this even a few days back. But now it is happening. It's good that people have availed the opportunity, and I'm giving the feedback that the visitors to the IBA exhibition here has been very good. As if nothing has happened. And as it was mentioned the other day, yesterday and before, even by the minister, that it's a post-pandemic situation, because all of us have learned how to deal with the corona situation. So I welcome all of you to this session, which is on Satat Scheme and Evolution of Biogas Ecosystem, Convergence of Technologies, Incentives and Policies. My panelists are here. Of course, Maheshwari ji is online. Mishra ji from Praj is here. And on behalf of Kya Raghunath ji, Tiwari ji is here. And Srinivas is here with us. So this we are going to talk on this, on various aspects we are going to touch upon. I would like to mention that the biogas journey has started as a rural fuel. When the urban areas were not having clean gaseous fuel to cook, they were happy with the coal, fuel, wood, sawdust, etc. as a fuel in urban areas. At that point of time, the rural areas were having and enjoying the gaseous clean fuel in the form of biogas. Now that situation has further improved, and we have graduated ourselves from the family type cooking as a rural fuel to the auto fuel. When in 2008 I started working in MNRA for having the bio-CNG compressed biogas, what we call under Satat today. And auto fuel we have further gone for the aviation fuel as well. Now the standards which we have, this is good enough to go for the aviation fuel as well. Now today I would like to flag the next step forward, the next journey for the biogas, which has started from the as a rural fuel to now the jet fuel or the space fuel. We are going to talk about it in detail in the next session, that is the production of hydrogen using bio-CNG. Bio-CNG and other forms of biomass, bioenergy, maybe carbonized biomass, pyrolyzed biomass, we can produce hydrogen. Technologies are there, and I take this opportunity to invite all our members of IBA and the participants in this conference today, and all those who are connected through online, all of them are requested to now take this sector, the biogas sector, to the next step forward, and that is we become the space fuel as well. Now, space fuel is the journey which is possible. This will give us lot of opportunities to go beyond Satat, beyond CBG, beyond bio-CNG. And all of you who are having chance and opportunity to know that generation of hydrogen through bio-CNG is one of the cheapest route, $1.8 per kg, as compared to solar, which starts from 2.5 to $3 per kg and onwards. So therefore, that is the situation where we are. And now let us take a leap forward, a leapfrog forward, so that we are able to take our sector, stabilize our sector in much, much better position. And with the National Hydrogen Mission is in position, if you go there and attempt to read whatever material is available, you will find that they think only generation of hydrogen utilizing electrolysis process. We have not to step in. We have to go there and tell them that we, the bio-CNG, the CBG sector, is the cheapest one. And don't forget us. Please include in the National Hydrogen Mission all the policies and programs which we are going to enunciate out of it. Coming to Satat, when it was launched in 2018, it was a good initiative by MOPNG and the government, because the marketing or the market for this has been provided. So many activities have been undertaken, LOIs have been issued, but still what is not happening, which as a group we have to see that it happens. We are from IBA always in constant touch with the government concerned departments, including Niti Aayog, PMO and others, so that this sector gets a better price. The 46 price, if it is taken in comparison to the price of the ethanol, which is having half of the calorific value, the price should be fixed at 119, 120 rupees per kg, as against 46 rupees per kg. So many things will be discussed during the course today. In the first half, the two sessions we are having on biogas and bioenergy. The organic fertilizer, I would like to mention that here we have done two things after we met in 2019. That is, the fertilizer control order, FCO, has been issued for the solid component as well as the liquid component of the organic fertilizer. Now, I would like to flag and request and urge upon the R&D institutions and technology developers to please develop the NPK enriched organic fertilizer. Prepare the specification, we'll coordinate with you, give it to IBA, we will take it further for getting fertilizer control order for having the organic fertilizer enriched, the biogas slurry based organic fertilizer enriched with nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium separately or together. It is possible for having a good service to the farm sector and farmer sector, food sector, we have to do it. The third thing which I would like to flag as of now is that the technology where the generation of biogas takes place, that technology is that something which is in a solid form, semi-solid form, we make it liquid form, diluted form, and after the biogas is generated to produce organic fertilizer, we again dry it, water is removed. Now, the whole process really, if you see critically, then it is highly energy inefficient and effort intensive process. Lot of efforts are to be done. And therefore, the dry digestion aspect of biogas generation technology, different countries, different institutions and technology providers have tried to a limited extent. I would urge upon all those who are involved that let us develop a technology where the dry digestion becomes a reality. Very little water is added through sprinkling or something. We can discuss more about it, how it can be done. Now, I urge upon all those who are involved listening directly and all those who are involved listening through YouTube and other electronic media, internet media, they should come forward and take these things. So therefore, converting to space fuel, having the organic fertilizer, having the fortified organic fertilizer with NPK, and third, the technology for dry digestion. These three I would urge upon all of you to take it seriously and take it further. With this now, thanks once again to the organizers. Now I request in the presentation through our panelists, Shri Devadatta Mishra ji from Praj Industries, and in fact, the biorefineries is very, and bioenergy refineries to be precise, very dear to me. When I was in MNRE, I have been promoting it to a good extent. And had I been for a couple of years more in MNRE, the bioenergy refinery would have been sanctioned from MNRE and becoming the reality 5 years, 8 years back, which now the private sector like Praj Industries are pursuing. So Mishra ji, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Shukla, and very good morning to all of you. Before I start, can you put up the presentation? So, the topic that I want to present today is a little different in the sense that we have been discussing about Satat for last 2 to 3 years. And today, after 1.5 years meeting physically, it feels so nice. And so I decided today to present something that in last 1.5 years, we have been meeting so many people and they have their own doubts. They have been asking so many questions. So we thought that today let me answer some of them. Maybe some of you also might be having the same questions in mind. So today I'll talk about some of the business aspects that you should consider or you should look at when you are talking about or building a new CBG plant. So I'll be talking mainly about feedstocks. Second, I'll be talking about technology related aspects, and then some other aspect that going forward will be critical for all of us. Coming to feedstock, there are two questions that I keep getting from customers and clients, that what is the best feedstock? We know CBG can be produced from all kinds of feedstocks. Anything organic matter we can convert, but what is the best feedstock when it comes to actually putting up a CBG commercial plant? And then next question is what we should do. We should go for one monofuel feedstock or multi-feed kind of a plant. So I'll touch upon 1 or 2 minutes on this. When it comes to asking this question, which feedstock is best for CBG plant, so there are 3 criteria we need to look at. The first criteria that we need to look at is what is the cost aspect of it. What is the cost of feedstock per kg of CBG that it gets produced. So it has 2 aspects. One is at what price we can get the feedstock and what yield it will give me. So if you look at this, there are many feedstocks, and currently I have just taken whatever average rates that we can get. So rates vary from place to place and case to case. But if you look at this, you will find that some feedstock today are in terms of cost versus yield or the cost of raw material to produce 1 kg of CBG, some feedstocks are better. So these are commercial part. But some feedstocks are definitely not better. Some feedstocks, the costs are much higher. So we need to look at this on a location specific and case to case specific. So you can see the slide here. The press mud looks promising from cost perspective. And then you can go right hand side, you can see what is happening. Second aspect is, what is the processability of feedstock? Maybe one feedstock is cheaper, but whether it is easy to process or difficult to process. So in this processability, what we need to look at is, one is technical aspect, but also we need to look at the storage aspect. We need to look at the pre-treatment aspect, whether it requires pre-treatment. So overall, it will come to a point that you need to look at the OPEX and CAPEX of a particular feedstock, and it vary from feedstock to feedstock. And third aspect that we need to look at is whether this feedstock is sustainably available and that you can get it throughout the year and for the next 10 to 15 years. So these are the some aspects when you are choosing a feedstock you need to take care. Second question is what we should do. We should go for a single feedstock or a multi-feedstock plant. Now, given the technical aspect, if you look at only from a technology standpoint, digester per se doesn't differentiate. So what feedstock you are putting, it's only look at the organic content. But there are many other aspects when it comes to designing a digester for your particular plant. So in that sense, you need to look at two aspects. First is why you are looking at a multi-feed plant. Is the requirement technical in nature? That unless you put 2-3 feedstock, you are not able to maintain the, or it is a commercial requirement where you want to see that whatever feedstock is cheaply available with me, I want to combine it, or it is a risk aspect where you are saying that maybe the feedstock today I'm having, maybe I will not be having tomorrow, so I want to have a multi-feed plant. So all these things comes into your design aspect. And second, if you look at it, when you are actually designing a plant, a combination can be infinite. Number of feedstock combination, proportions, what percentage you want to add at one point of time can be infinite. But can we design a plant which is, which can take care of infinite solutions or infinite combination? Answer is no. You can design, but it will not be having, efficient for all kind of combinations. So what we can do? So is there some kind of formula or some key feasible combinations? So typically what we have seen is that we can take some kind of a primary raw material basis which we can design the plant, and then we can add some other raw material basis your requirement, whether it is commercial or de-risk perspective. So here you can see that either you can take Plasmodiaceae based feedstock, and then you can combine different other feedstock in proportion that we have given. Similarly, you can design a biomass plant and then add some other feedstocks into that. Or you can even look at other chicken litter, cow dung, etc. So these are some of the combinations that we need to look at when it comes to designing a plant. Now I'll come to the technology aspect. So these are some of the questions on feedstock. When it comes to technology, there are 4 aspects to any CBG plant. One is what kind of pre-treatment we are doing. And this pre-treatment requirement will vary from feedstock to feedstock. For example, if it is a press mud, the challenge is how to store it without degradation, because it is available in 5 to 6 months and we want to operate the plant throughout the year. So then we need to do stabilization as a pre-treatment requirement. When it comes to biomass, it is again having a different requirement because we want to deconstruct the lignin from cellulose and hemicellulose so that yields will increase. And also we want to properly homogenize the feed so that we can use it in the digester and get higher yield. So this is an aspect on pre-treatment we need to look at. Second is when it comes to biomethanation. Now in biomethanation, our aim is to get higher yields from the same digester or same volume of digester. At the same time, we need to design a digester which will last for a long time without any breakdown and maintenance. So here, what initially for all the liquid feedstock, we used to give a CSCR digester 20 years back, but we realized that for solid feedstock, the plug flow digester will be much beneficial and proving to be useful. So we have tested that and we are now offering plug flow digestion for all the solid feedstocks. And third aspect is if you look at this plug flow digestion also, that we are not using any kind of agitation or mechanical moving equipment inside the digester. So the life of this digester and the breakdown and the maintenance of this digester is very low and lives are very high. Now coming to third aspect is the gas cleaning. Now the gas cleaning, earlier the requirement was not vehicular application. So the gas cleaning requirement was not stringent. But today we are seeing that this entire gas cleaning requirement is very stringent because at the end of the day we are going to put it in the vehicle. Now if you look at last 2-3 years, there are some of the plants where people are using the CBG in their vehicles and they are complaining that I am not able to get good performance out of this CBG. It is because that the gas cleaning systems are not robust there and they are not getting the right kind of gas. Though ISPEC says 90%, but I think all CBG players or suppliers would agree that we can supply more than 96% methane. So this type of methane, this spec of methane is much better than the existing CNG that is available. So that is one. And the last aspect is also Dr. Shukla mentioned here, the organic manure that comes out, though today it is already FCO compliant. But yes, there is a lot of improvement or the enrichment possibilities is there. And we have been doing a lot of work. Apart from the FCO certification, we have done also NOCA certification. And also we are doing this enrichment work for HPCL in our one of the plant. So these are some of the technology related aspects, and these are the 4 areas we need to look at. Now, one of the critical questions that has been asked last 2-3 years back was, yes, technology is there, it has been there in other parts of the world, but in India it is not there, no reference is there. So reference is one critical aspect, and specifically for different feedstock, because of the feedstock behavior, we need to look at references of different feedstock as well. So looking into this, Praj is now, I'll not go through the liquid feedstock references because spent was based, there have been lot many installation. But after Satat, what we have done is we have now created reference on press mud. We are creating reference on biomass, that is rice straw to CBG, and spent was, all this kind of a thing we are doing. And the idea is to create a reference for each and every feedstock. So that is one area every entrepreneur or every customer would like to see and verify, and that will give a comfort to the technology aspect of the CBG. Now, going forward, so this is a plant, CBG plant in Muzaffarnagar, UP. We are running on press mud. This is a 10-ton CBG plant. And you can see I'll show you the digester. You can see the digester. It is unlike the CSTR one. This is the plug flow digester, the flat white concrete slab kind of thing that you can see. So it is underground digester. And this is the feedback that we received from the plant. We supply through IOCL. That plant is supplying gas through IOCL. There are 2-3 good things that happened there. So one is the customers that are buying this gas, they are having a very, very good performance than CNG. So they are getting higher mileage, they are getting better performance of the engine, and only because this purity of this methane is higher than this CNG. So that is one aspect on the CNG sale. And also on the evacuation side, because of work of IOCL and MOPNG, we are actually very thankful to MOPNG and IOCL that from day 0 they have been able to do all evacuation. And also the manure, the farmers that are taking the liquid and solid manure, they are also very happy, and they are queuing up actually to take this manure from the plant. So from an evacuation perspective, we have seen very good result from these plants. This is a demo plant we are running on rice straw in Pune, so I'll not get into this. So what next? So this is something that we have already done. So what are something different things that we need to do further to make sure these projects are viable? So first thing is we are constantly looking at what kind of feedstock that can viably used. So one of the feedstock that we are now currently looking at is even the grain ethanol byproduct can be converted to CBG, which was earlier being used as a DDGS, as an animal feed. So that we are working, and that has opened up another area or the segment of feedstock. Secondly, we are also looking at, because earlier we have been focusing on bigger plants, 10 tons, 15 tons kind of a plant. Now on the feedstock which are like cow dung and chicken litter, where you don't have sufficient feedstock. So there we are focusing on creating smaller plants and standardizing those plants. So we are looking at creating a 2.5 to 5 TPD plant there, specifically for those feedstocks. Now coming to the flexibility side, if you look at, there are many areas where the evacuation will be a challenge, or at least day 0 evacuation will be a challenge. So what we are looking at is, from an evacuation perspective, we have also promoted diesel dual fuel kit, because all the rural areas, so they have lot of diesel vehicles, which can be converted to a dual fuel kit, and this will benefit both. This will benefit both consumer as well as the CBG plant producer, because once this local area vehicle will get converted, so they will buy it from you and you will not have the risk of evacuation, and also you will get the higher rate. Because today if you sell at 46, you can sell even at more than 60, 70 rupees. Because there is no CNG in that local area because it is a rural area as of now. So this is a very interesting concept and it applies to all those sugar plants because they have already those vehicles. And second thing we are doing is, of course, I talked about manure enrichment. In terms of flexibility, what is happening is we can have a off-grid model where we are not dependent on power because power rates are high at different places. So we are looking at a gas engine concept. Also, we are looking at integrating solar into this CBG plant. And all this will help increase the viability of the projects as well as it will reduce the risk of uncertainty of power. And some of the policy advocacy or policy, there is a lot been done, but still there a lot has to be done. And higher rate for CBG. But one of the critical thing is also for manure, like MSW, they are giving a subsidy. So they should pass this subsidy to all other feedstocks. So that is another key concept. And of course, financial feasibility and DPS, those things you need to look at when you are initially conceiving a plant. I think because of the time constraint, I will not go into much detail and I will stop here and thank you all the organizers and everyone for listening. Thank you everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Mishra ji. Now request Tiwari ji, please. Let's go ahead. Have 10 minutes. Let's go.
Can you put the presentation? Good morning, all. I am here to present the Bio-CNG challenges, experience, and opportunities that we as a KIS group has faced. Is it going? Coming to the introduction about our companies, we have done more than 60 projects outside India, and we have done the ETP for palm oils and all. And currently we have done more than 10 projects in India regarding to biogas, CBG and all. Yeah, thank you. As coming to the company profile, we are into the wastewater treatment plant, ETP water treatment plant, and also we used to produce the biogas from the waste, that is of the liquid waste, solid waste, and the STPs. The system that we use is the JPHP anaerobic reactor, that is the CSTR and the UASB. Currently, we have done one project of the Amul of the Banas dairy that I will show you what we have done there. The gas production there is nearly about 2,000 metric cube per day, and Bio-CNG is 762 kg per day. I'll just show you the video of the same projects, and then we will discuss. So it is one of integrated type of plant where the production of the CNG is being produced, and they are also selling the CNG there. Coming to the challenges that we all face in the Bio-CNG sectors, first is the selection of the substrate and its availability. If we have to set up a plant, we have to locate that from where we will be getting the substrates and its availability. Secondly, we have to select the technology that has been a proven record. Thirdly, we have to look for the substrate procurement and all, so that that can be procured. Fourthly is the sale of the CVG. We have to look that we are getting the good rates and all. And fifth, if we come across as per our experience, the maintenance and the operation of the plant is the integral part that we have to look through. And the funding is the another option that no one will deny that we have to also look for. Coming to the experiences, we have done, as I already told, that we have done many bio-CNG projects. And outside India, in India also we have done for Torrent Pharma, for Amul, and all that. So this is of the Manas Dairy that already I discussed, that the biogas is being produced at 2000 metric cube per day, and the bio-CNG is being produced at 762 kg per day. This is another plant that we have set up in Karnataka itself. It's press mud plant. This is the another plant that we have taken for the retrofitting. It's 250 ton per day plant in the Kanahali in Bangalore itself that we are doing. This is the another plant that is in Nepal that we are setting up. The capacity is 30 tons per day, and it is being set up at the plant. The biogas generation will be nearly about 2,500 metric cube per day, and the bio-CNG will be 750 kg per day. One another plant where we are setting up is in the Nepal, and it's the mixed waste press mud plus cow dung is being set up. That the capacity is 80 ton per day, and the biogas generation will be 6,250 metric cube per day. The bio-CNG they will be produced from that also. There are the two plants that we are already we have already set up. One is in the Malaysia, where the bio-CNG is being made from the what we call in India the sabudana waste, and another is we are already doing it in the Kota for the supply to the housing complex. So these are some of the plants that KIS is currently working on. This is in Kota that we are working on, and it will be cattle dung and the vegetable waste. We are also supplying the bio-CNG to the Unilever from the palm oil mill. The bio-CNG is being supplied to the Unilever factory in Indonesia itself. We have also signed 100 projects to provide the technical assistance for the 100 projects in India, and this is the one of the as previously told, the opportunity is vast, and we need to look after the opportunities in that. And this is our experience that I wanted to share, that KIS has already done, and projects that they have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiwari ji. Now I request Srinivas ji to please give his presentation.
Hello. Hello. Yes. Thank you, Shuklaji, and good morning, everyone. I am going to talk about bio-CNG and biogas, and everybody is talking about the bio-CNG challenges, whether it may be feedstock, technology, or organic manure. But one thing I want to showcase in the presentation that yes, those challenges can be overcome. And I represent Arka Brainstack Private Limited. So the name itself stands for, when I say Arka Brainstack Private Limited, everybody asks me about what it stands for. So Brainstack is nothing but it's a synonym of biogas, renewable energy technologies and sustainable technologies. And brain is, I am proud to say that, we are brain behind many biogas technologies or biogas companies. So already we are giving consultancy for 4 biogas companies. So our expertise mainly lies about biogas, bio-CNG, then hybrid systems, decentralized hybrid system, market information or analysis, complete end-to-end study analysis, report documentation, preparation, technical assistance to or analysis to many companies who are into the field, and scenario modeling. Some of our prestigious client list is, you can see, and these are the clients for which we have already installed plants and several are under installation. And as I said that, we are brain behind many biogas companies. We are already installing 3 large-scale projects, which are almost 150 tons to 200 tons based on different feedstocks, whether it is cow dung, press mud, rice straw, napier grass, and endless. And these are some of our achievements in the last 10 years, where we have installed various plants right from based on STP. Then other feedstock, you can see, Arka Brainstack has installed Southeast Asia's first bio-CO2 plant at Peda, which is still in operation. And several other small-scale biogas plants, right from 1 ton to 5 ton, which are almost more than 100. So this is just an example for one of the companies where we are giving consultancy. This is a Jaipur plant where STP generated gas is being converted and is used and sold to the vehicle fuel. Project at STPs, these are 3 projects at STPs and one is still under installation. Because of COVID, things have changed and it has been delayed, or Haridwar project should be up and running in another 2 or 3 months. This is the PEDA client which I was talking about, and Arka Brainstack, we believe that everything, whatever we do on paper, exactly it replicates at site. So whatever we do on the designs, drawings, and on paper, it replicates exactly, hardly there was a difference of 1 centimeter at site. And this is the actual photograph of the plant of bio-CO2 unit. And we have an international collaboration with AD Agro. It's a German company, and they have installed almost 175 plants across the globe in a span of 10 years. And when it comes to technology, yes, I have heard both the presentations of Praj and KIS Group. And yes, in the past 1.5 years, there were so many calls on daily basis. Just there was a confusion in the market about why there is a cost difference in various projects. When it comes to same feedstock, same size, suppose it is press mud, just to take an example, and the size of the plant is 5 tons. Everybody was very much confused at why there is a huge variation of the cost. The consultants and the companies are just quoting right from 15 crores to 75 crores. So there is a confusion of, huge confusion between the plant cost and the project cost. And yes, we are there to give end-to-end solution, hand-holding solution for the companies who have LOIs or who have already signed LOIs, so that, everything can be plotted down. And initial confusion or the reason for the confusion is people are not aware about what exactly they want to buy. So we are here to help you out for drafting the bill of material, bill of quantities, and then you can take the quotes from the same companies, and you can see the variation of hardly 5 to 10%. And this has already happened, and we have checked it out for almost 3 projects which we are doing. So these are the few examples of projects which have been already installed based on various feedstock, you name it, and we have already done it, like press mud. I was a part of the India's first 100 TPD press mud plant. Spent wash, yes, 600 cubic meter per day spent wash to CNG plant. Then chicken litter, rice straw, napier grass, these are the plants under installation. And pig manure, and a combination of, as rightly said by one of my colleagues, that you need a combination of different feedstocks to ensure that the CN ratio inside the digester is maintained, or else there would be a monodigestion in the inside the digester. So one has to ensure and take care of every aspect while running or selecting the technology. So these are few of the plants, and as Suklaji said about manure, organic manure, yes, I particularly like this statement that India is strengthening its link between renewable energy and agriculture, and this is essential to create a healthier and a cleaner environment, and to develop or make a more resilient and efficient sustainable farming sector. So we are looking for, wherever we are installing the projects, yes, we are giving a buyback guarantee of the organic manure from our clients. And all the 3 projects, wherever we are installing the projects, we ensure that we buy back the manure which is generated, the digestate, both in form of solid and liquid. And this is our specialty and the uniqueness of Arka Brainstack Private Limited. Yes, we are supporting the farmers, and we always see that, strategy, there have to be different strategies for agricultural development and developing countries, which basically leading to the economic development. So needs to be generated towards affordable and increasing sustainable production or supporting these kind of farmers. And everybody talks about farmers, but nobody is doing or helping the farmers. So we have come forward to help the farmers by giving them or supplying the organic manure at a low cost rate, whatever they are buying and whatever they are affording right now. So thank you, and our contact details are mentioned. So if any alloy holder or any biogas plant technology supplier wants any services from us, then here we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Srinivasji. Now, can I get in touch with Ashish Maheshwari ji? Is he online? Sharma ji?
Hello.
Yeah, Maheshwari.
Yeah, Shukla ji.
Yeah,
Good
okay.
morning.
Welcome through the latest technology after COVID, which we are now used to. So, thank you very much for joining online. Please go ahead with your presentation, Maheshwari ji.
Yes, I will upload. Thank you, IBA, REI, Dr. Shukla ji. Hope you can see my presentation. The screen is visible.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay. It's always pleasure to be present practically there and discuss in person. But although coming to main topic, Sepuran Green for biogas purification. Evonik is a creative industrial group from Germany and one of the world's leading specialty chemical company. Evonik operates worldwide, have global presence with more than 100 countries, have manufacturing and sales and marketing offices in Europe, USA, and Asia, including India. This is the site of Evonik Fiber, where hollow fiber membranes are manufactured, polyimide products in Austria. At high performance polymer, we manufacture various high performance polymer, including polyamide for automotive application, polyimides for hot gas filtration, hollow fibers for gas separation application. Additionally, we manufacture PEEK for industrial and medical application. Evonik impacts on full value chain leads to superior membrane product. As a chemical company, we start from manufacturing from monomer that will be converted to polymer, ultimately to hollow fiber, and then to membrane cartridges. Our OEM partner will design the system based on our technical support and application development. And it is given to the end user. This is the value chain for membrane-based plant. At this picture, when you look at the central picture, these are the hollow fiber, bundle of hollow fibers put together into the cartridge, and there is the relative permeation rate of various gases. For example, methane has a slow relative permeation. It will be retained in hollow fiber, whereas carbon dioxide will pass through. It will come in permeate. It's very simple technology. One product will come at permeate and another at retentate. At Evonik, we have the different types of products available for the gas separation. Sepuran Green, market leader in biogas application. We are manufacturing Noble for helium recovery, hydrogen recovery. We can do H2CO ratio adjustment. Also, we have our nitrogen membrane for nitrogen generation on site. We are also supplying manufacturing NG membranes for natural gas application and VOC for vapor recovery. Coming to main topic, the Sepuran Green for biogas upgrading. Exactly this, once the biogas has been, various substrate has been used, like manure or residual or waste or industrial waste, energy crop, then the biogas will be generated. After generation of biogas, it has to be purified, and the membrane technology plays crucial role in purification of this to give the product quality of methane, which is suitable for gas injection, gas grid application, bio-CNG for vehicular fuel, or bio-LNG. There are certain prejudices about the membrane technology. For example, it has a limited lifetime. We expect lifetime for the membrane more than 10 years based on our experience and more than the 600 plants running successfully. Sensitive of risk and damage, there is a proper pre-treatment is needed to be taken care. Gas contamination can harm the membrane, but if proper pre-treatment is done, then you can get the proper physical phenomena will be reached. Is it applicable for small scale? That is not the case. The membrane technology can be used for the various capacities. Our largest plants are running for more than 6,000 nm³ per hour of the raw biogas. More than 50 to 60 plants having the capacity of more than 600,000 nm³ per hour. In terms of expensive, there are certain doubts, but we can say that it's a most efficient technology, reliable and flexible, best optimum between capex and opex. There are various fibers in development also to improve the capacity and capex opex. This is the block diagram showcasing how the membrane technology plant looks like. There are certain types of pre-treatment like various filters have been incorporated, particulate filter, activated carbon filter, chiller, dryer to meet to the membrane specification to achieve the bio-CNG of specific purity and recovery. So this is the general block diagram, process diagram for biogas upgrading. Sepuran green and contaminants. Sepuran green is based as a PI, polyimide, and Wikipedia says that it has excellent mechanical properties, good chemical resistance, and known for thermal stability. It is not affected by solvents and oils. Maybe there are some loss of performance occurs. Those are due to physical phenomena, and it can be recovered back. Once the contamination flush away, the membrane will be back to its performance. About Sepuran green and effect of H2O and H2S, polyimides are basically very resistant against hydrolysis, water vapor not reactive, and H2S is even less reactive, so it cannot degrade the polymer. So, but H2S to be taken care as to avoid the degradation for compressor and the capacity loss. Coming to the main topic, it's a patented technology, Sepuran green, in terms of efficiency. We have a three-stage process that allows to operate with a single compressor. Significant reduction in operation cost, product purity and recovery can be achieved more than 99% based on the customer's need. This is available to our OEM partners who can design and build the plant. This is our software. We support our clients with the software and guide them about to reach to the certain purities and recovery based on the client's need. It can be 2-stage, 3-stage, we can design accordingly. Sepuran green has more than 600 references around the globe. This is how the plant looks like. It's a small containerized. The cartridges, membrane, Sepuran green have been put together, assembled, and packed into 20 feet container or 40 feet container. So compact and less space requirement. This is one of the oldest plants started from 2011. So it is still in operation from 2011 without loss of performance. This is for JV Energen, Rainbow. And in this case, methane recovery is 97%. The upgrading for 650 nm³ of biogas, raw biogas. The substrate used are agricultural and food waste. These are some of the plants at Yesco Seoul, City Korea in South Korea. It's a 3-stage 1500 nm³ with sewage sludge, wastewater treatment plant, methane purity, more than 97%. This is the plant built by Envitec in Mine project in China. So they have two lines of 1000 nm³ per hour. The gas bio-CNG has been bottled and sent to the various applications at CNG station. In India also, various projects are coming, some are in operation. This is the project in Tecnomontano, Italy. These are actually 5 lines of 1250 nm³ with 97% purity based on the MSW, municipal solid waste. So membranes, it can be handled by the various types of substrate, whether it's a sewage sludge, kitchen waste, organic or agricultural waste, energy crop. And the bio-CNG can be used for different application, whereas we can also deliver CO2 based on the client's need and the purity required that can be used for food grade as well as industrial grade. In general, Sepuran Green has a various advantage. Biomethane is provided at a system pressure, dry and in pipeline spec. The plants are very easy to operate, start and stop, no maintenance time, very little maintenance. There is no maintenance on membrane part, no chemical use, no wastewater, best price performance for all the membrane system, high methane yield of greater than 99%, high purities. This is the easy to scale up containerized system. So possibly you can scale up the plant in a very easy way manner. So it's a sustainable solution. This is the video showcasing about Sepuran Green technology. These are the cartridges, different type 4-inch, 6-inch. Hollow fiber bundled together. Different type of connections to be put. Once the feed has been entered, there are 2 streams will come out from the hollow fiber. One has been retained, whereas the another will be permeate. Methane will be retained, whereas CO2 come on permeate side. So CO2 is passing through hollow fiber along with water vapor. Methane has been retained. The process guiding about the patented technology 3-stage process with single compressor, energy loss will be consumption less than 0.2 kilowatt. Highly selective membrane in terms of selectivity more than 50. So less number of cartridges will be needed. Simple modular system. Flexible and easily expandable. Once you have the space, increase in capacity is possible. As a plug and play system. So thank you.
Thank you, Maheshwari ji. Thank you very much. Now we have completed all the presentations which were scheduled to be presented today. Now, may I request the participants, if you are having questions to be asked to the panelists, you're most welcome.
Screen बंद करना रे.
I'm Dr. Sharma. I have 2 issues. One is the regulatory issue and the second is pricing issue, which IBA should take up. See, biomethane producers should have the right to develop CGD infrastructure. That's one point, because what happened was 2 years back, a young entrepreneur, he came to me and he asked me that whether I can put up a CNG station in my town generating biomethane from mud, pressed mud. So I said that regulation doesn't provide. You have to hand over this biomethane to any CGD operator, and then he would sell it on your behalf, but you don't have any right to develop a CNG station in the country because any CGD licensee or the geographical area owner, he would not permit you. You have to hand over your this biomethane to him. So that's one part which, of course, on the regulation, which IBA should interfere with the government to take it over. The second part is, of course, is the pricing. Pricing of 46 rupees per cubic meter or kg of gas is a little lower side because on ethanol, if government is providing 62 rupees or 64 rupees per kg of per liter of ethanol, not kg, which holds a calorific value of about 6,400 kcal versus 11,000 kcal of CNG. There's a lot of difference. States should come out with VAT exemptions. So that's one part which I just wanted to say. So thank you.
I'll answer that question. Okay. So, nice question. Actually, there are a lot many people are asking same question. But only I'll say that the first part of the question where you said that you cannot actually open a CBG station. But actual reality is CBG is not under PNGRB. So for CBG, you can definitely open your station, either your own station or co-branded station. But for CNG, it is what we're saying is right because it is under CGD.
No, that's a problem because what happens is that CBG is not a saleable product, to be very frank, and you have to purify it and make it the biomethane. That's a saleable product.
Yeah. When you say CBG, sir, it is purified and compressed biogas.
Well, I think you'll have to check the definitions and because you can sell it as a biomethane is used or methane is used. Once you purify it, it becomes methane. It doesn't remain to be a
So currently the Satat policy is all about purifying and selling methane at 96% plus. And that is what retailing at all these petrol stations already. IOCL has so many stations. Already they are selling. It is not that it is not being sold. CBG is being sold and yeah. So Mike.
Yeah, it's being sold, but sold by the procurer and not by the CBG producer as a biomethane or CNG or even piped natural gas. So
Sir, somebody take the example of Banas Dairy. I think you has made, you can answer because Banas Dairy is an example where it is not through, I mean, it's a partnership. They have their own pumps, right? That is what the question is about. This example is that. But I can tell you about the policy. As per policy, you can open on your name. You can take a co-branded with IOCL or HPCL or any OMCs. It is not an problem. You know, as per policy, you can take it. And there is example. Already somebody has already done it.
then it's...
However, thank you, Sharma ji, for your intervention. And we are going to check it up, and wherever there are any doubt at the operational level, we'll get it clarified. As far as putting up a bio-CNG station is concerned, for filling the vehicular thing, all those things were done and they are possible. But specifically whether without having any permission from PNGRB, whether they can have a distributed network or not, we'll check it up and wherever corrections are needed, that will take. You have rightly mentioned about the price. Price is certainly not being given. And the letter which I wrote to the Niti Aayog, there I have given the calculations and said that with the half of the calorific value roughly of the ethanol, you are giving 1.5 times the price. For that, the request was made that for all the auto fuels, it should be based on the heat value, be it ethanol, be it diesel, be it biodiesel, be it petrol, whatever. And once it is done based on the heat value or the calorific value or the energy value, then the CBG or the bio-CNG is going to get its place. The other thing we said that you have it in the procurement of the total kitty being bought from different sources by the Gas Authority of India Limited, and whatever component at whatever price it is available, the CBG, it should be factored into, so that the averaging, once it is done for pricing per kg of the gas, average is taken out, not that it is compared with the CNG per se, what it is happening today. So IBA are in touch, and support from all the experts and organizations like you and all others also need to continuously take opportunity to tell the officials of the government who matter or the ministers to take it further. So thank you very much for these 2 points are very important, and many others for injecting to the grid that we are taking up in the process. Yeah, next question.
I have a very short question regarding the algae biofuel. I am Professor Dr. Devraj Tiwari and working as in R&D Sarda University. So I have one simple question: why we are not producing this biofuel or bio-CNG from these algae? Why we are not producing the algae or a biofuel from the algae? ALGAE. Is there any plant in India where we are producing the biofuel through the algae?
Yeah. Hello. Can I put a question to? Excuse me. I am H. Das. I have a question first to Satat. The limitation of 2 ton of bio-CNG from any of your biomethane plant or biomethanation plant, why the limitation of 2T and not below that? I mean, you cannot expect any small entrepreneurs. We are working on cow dung to hydrogen-rich methane. But then we find that where there are 500 cows or 1,000 cows, they can't go for a 2-ton plant. That's too big for them. So why can't they reduce the limit and take the bio-CNG gas if it is compressed and given to the village tractors or to the other users? This is the first question to Satat. I mean, and then funding for research and development units. There is no scope. I'm refused by Indian Oil, I'm refused by Satat that nothing can be done as such. Why? R&D people who are trying to develop something new, particularly to the direction of hydrogen-rich methane, they are not being given anywhere any hope by even any ministry for giving any funding. They can't afford to pay 1 crore or 2 crore, but they can put something new in the field, this field, particularly hydrogen generation for electricity. So this is my humble request to Satat to look into it, that whether you can go for a lower this limitation of 2 ton.
Yeah. So I'll take all the 3 questions and try my best to answer, because I don't see I'll be doing justice, because some of the questions are very technical in nature. But sir, to answer your question, first question is there any limitation of Praj not doing less than 2 ton size of plant? Frankly, last 3-4 years, from the start of Satat till date, as you know, 2000 LOIs have been given and all those things are happening. But the major constraint is, one constraint is of course technology, but it is not about the technology that these plants of lower size is viable or not. We need to look at it as a business. Whether less than 2 TPD or smaller size plants are viable or not, and then if it is viable, then what kind of technology and package we need to do. So you are very right when you say there are a lot of requirement of smaller size plant. I fully agree. To the extent that smaller micro size biogas plants also required at the level of farmers who are very small farmers, 1 or 2 farmers. But challenge is not every supplier or not every technology supplier, focusing in all aspects. You have to choose what aspect, whether today I am focusing here, tomorrow I might be, focusing in other areas as well. Today, what we are looking at is for us as a business, we are looking at as a business, and today our focus is on a bigger plants, because that gives, us, that will give us more in terms of in shorter time span, I can make more. But if I am going to the lower capacity plant, I need to make a very standardized product and mass market it. I am talking from a business perspective, from the supply side. Though I know there is a lot of demand exists, lot many people are asking for smaller plants, but today I am not able to give. Today, so that's the reason we have said, let us try from 10 to 5 to 2.5. In future, we don't know. We can even go to the smallest of the plant. But there are many other suppliers. We are supplying smaller plants. It's not that, we are not supplying right now, but there are many other suppliers supplying smaller plants. So that is one question from my side. And R&D, I think you can answer the R&D wala question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mishra ji. In fact, we have entered the second session by about 10-12 minutes. So we have to close the question answer session here. And whatever questions are left, they can be taken up post the second session, because that is also going to be on the similar subject. And as regards R&D, you are right, it should be supported under SATAT and by the concerned ministry. You write to us, we will be taking specific issues with the concerned ministries. As regards the LG, it is possible to do it, and as a feedstock, there is no problem. So thank you very much. I'll hand over to the organizers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shukla. Thank you so much to our panelists. In fact, what we've seen over all these years, our bio sessions have garnered the most attention. And there are so many questions from the attendees that we always fall short of time. But ladies and gentlemen, the next session is also a bio session. In case any of the queries are left unattended, we've got the IBA booth. You are please free to go to the IBA booth. All the speakers would be there and the questions can be taken offline. Our next session, the bio session, is Bioenergy, a way to reach the zenith of energy production for India. Can I ask all the speakers to stand for a photo op? For a minute, if you can just take your mask off, only for the photograph. Yeah.